Call the Brandon Select Board to order. Thank you all for attending tonight, those who are here in person and those who are joining us by Zoom. The agenda is short, it was posted. There's plenty of opportunity for public comment and discussion throughout the meeting, so please get our attention if you wish to participate in that way. What's the pleasure of the board on the agenda that was posted?
Make a motion to approve that agenda.
Is there a second?
Sure.
Any changes to be made? I have item to suggest at 4A, to consider a letter of interest to participate in the VLCT Welcoming and Engaging Communities Cohort. 4A, to consider a letter of interest to participate in the VLCT Welcoming and Engaging Communities Cohort. Are there other changes to be made? If not, all in favor of adopting the agenda as we've just amended it, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. What's the pleasure of the board on the minutes of the previous meeting?
I move that we accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes as they were submitted by the recording secretary? None noted. All in favor of adopting the minutes, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, say no. It's 4-0. Item 3, the town manager's report. Mr. Atherton, please.
Sure, this is my report for August 8th. The local hazard mitigation team met on August 2nd and August 4th to continue work on the new local hazard mitigation plan. We're hoping to present our update to the board tonight, but we decided we'll wait till August 22nd to present to the select board. The pre-construction meeting for the wastewater treatment plant upgrades was held on August 2nd. The contractor started ordering materials and supplies in anticipation of a September 20th start date for construction. Held a bid opening for 389 Newton Road demolition on July 28th. The project was awarded to Above the Best LLC in the amount of $8,945, and as you see I put in parentheses, this is not a typo. The demo will be scheduled once we receive the asbestos survey report. 3 flood resilient communities funded Newton Road property buyouts are moving forward. We're in the process of scheduling closing for 301 and 337 Newton Road, and the 17 Burke property appraisal was completed and accepted by the owner last week. VLCT has completed the rest of our property inspections. They did at the end of July. They will be sending results recommendations soon. Attended the Rutland Regional Planning Commission Hot Topic meeting on July 26th. Our new local health officer, Abigail Spiegelman, was the presenter, and the topic was planning for hot weather in our communities. So more to come on that, actually. Attended the July 8th Rutland Regional Transportation Advisory Committee meeting. We had a V-Trans presentation on transportation equity, which looks at the need for creating better transportation needs in areas that are currently not well connected due to income limits or voids in public transportation and pedestrian accessibility. Which I want to add a little bit on that. Recent Amtrak, going to Burlington was brought up by a couple of people that, we still have that void to fill here, and we're almost thinking about maybe starting to fight that fight again to see if we can still get a whistle stop. So. Rec news, fantastic 4-day carnival was enjoyed by the throngs of folks that made their way to Estherbrook Park over the weekend, ending in July 31st. Attendance was so good that our amusement company has already committed for the last week in July of 23. A huge thanks to our sponsors, Rutland Regional Medical Center, OMIA, Carter Insurance Agency, and Country Village Campground. Super volunteers include Patty Moore, Sue Danforth, Talis and Jeff Ladd, and Cass Sign. Special thanks to the volunteer efforts of the Brandon Fire Department providing a light truck to help create a safe parking area. Preseason football and soccer camp registrations have opened. Middle school flag football starts August 22nd. More offerings including flag football for grades 1 through 6 and youth soccer for grades pre-K to 6 will be opening soon as their seasons start after the first day of this new school year. Brandon Town Hall is playing host to not one but 2 different martial arts classes. Sensei Wade Davis will be leading folks through a summer and fall session of Aikido, and David Belanger will be teaching Jiu-Jitsu. Mini cheer camp for grades K-6 is firing up the week of August 8th with BRAC Cheer Commissioner Sarah Whitney. This 4-day camp will prep these participants for the fall season.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Sure.
Anything else to add that's not written?
No, I think Bill tries to screw me up in his run-on sentences and crazy words. But, no.
Tell him to say it out loud before he submits it.
Yeah, I think he laughs as he's typing it.
Are you nearing the end of the eligible properties for flood resilient?
No, there's actually 2 more rounds for flood resilient. I think October, and then there's another one in the spring again.
Oh,
And we can apply for FEMA anytime as long as it's in a floodplain.
okay.
Yeah.
So there's still possibilities available for people who are in the floodplain who might,
So the Flood Resilient Communities Fund is for people that are just outside of the floodplain that might still, that's why, if you remember the way the floodplain and the special flood hazard area in Newton Road works, it's kind of like an S and the road goes straight through it. So the ones that don't apply for FEMA have been able to apply for the
Okay.
FRCFC stuff. And then FEMA still, if you're on the flood maps in the designated flood area, you have to go through that process.
questions for the town manager from the board? Questions for the town manager from the public in attendance in the room tonight? Can always come back to him on other agenda items, but anything about his report? Folks on Zoom tonight, any questions, comments for the town manager? Okay, so we'll have public comment on any agenda item as we go through here, but we'll move along to item 4, which is public comment and participation. This would be stuff that you want to bring before the board that does not appear on the posted agenda. And we usually do start with the board. Anything from the board?
Sure, the blinking lights are probably a step in the right direction.
Well, that's only temporary because a module was hit by, went out with lightning, and the problem is if they stay blinking, the crosswalks lights don't work, so.
No, I guess it's not that.
Right, lights at the end of Park Street.
So the module will be here
the
Wednesday.
problem is that the crosswalks, the pedestrians are out of luck if they stay blinking.
Yeah.
We can't make the crosswalks stop everybody.
Nope.
That's unfortunate. Yeah. Others on the board? Folks on Zoom, anything for public comment, participation, items that are not on the agenda? And folks in the room tonight then? Okay, everybody wants to get out of the cool basement and back out into the humidity?
Into the rain.
So 4A was, we added, there's a draft letter of interest for the town of Brandon to be a participant in something the League of Cities and Towns is doing called Welcoming and Engaging Communities Cohort. Dave, do you want to introduce this? I mean, we've had an introduction actually about it, but do you want to talk about what the letter is indicating?
Sure, I
Draft
can.
letter.
This is just, it's a thing that the League of Cities and Towns are doing. They're picking, I think, 16 municipalities to be part of this. It's more for DEI training and, well, actually Sue crafted most of this letter, and like the middle paragraph kind of tells it all. That, like, we'd be able to incorporate employee training sessions that would address issues of diversity and equity, and recognize our community is made up of people of diverse economic, cultural, and ethnic experiences, and recognize that we as community leaders should create opportunities for all in our community in a fair and equitable fashion. So, as you remember, like, I don't know if it was a year ago, but I guess last fall, Bill and Sue and I were appointed to be the DEI board. So, I'd like to see Sue and Bill actually be the folks to represent the town of Brandon on this for the League of Cities and Towns.
And the town, if it's selected to participate, the town's afforded two representatives.
Two reps.
Two representatives, and the league's preference was for some continuity in the position, so they weren't interested in someone like me who has just a one-year seat
Correct.
kind of thing. They wanted,
Yep.
they wanted some distance of service to be coming. Pleasure of the board. What's the board think? Comments?
I really like this idea. I brought it up a couple of times, the last couple of meetings, and I'm thrilled that we're going to apply to be part of this cohort. I was looking through my my notes as I was getting ready for this meeting, because I just saw the letter. And yeah, prior to the start of your group with Bill and Sue last year, I went to a training with the National League of Cities on racial equity. And it was a 3-webinar series, and I was really impressed with their training and their work, which is why I have been very much looking forward to us getting involved in this. And I still would love to find a way to be involved with this cohort. I know that they want people that aren't on the next election cycle, and since I'm on for 3 years, that puts me in the category of people that could do that. And so if Bill or Sue is, because I know Sue's busier than heck, almost all the time.
She's actually really looking forward to doing this, so.
Yeah, well, I would like to be involved.
So we need a motion on that, Seth, or?
We're gonna have to submit an application, and the first item in the application is a letter of interest signed by a majority of the select board. So we would need that, yeah.
I'd make a motion to do whatever we need to do.
Do you wanna, I guess what's on the table for discussion is, do you wanna endorse the letter as it was drafted, which has,
Yeah, I think.
well, actually, have you listed? No, the working group is listed, but the representatives are not. We don't have to designate them
Well,
right
no,
now.
it's actually, because it's only a working group of myself and Sue and Bill, yeah.
Well, we have the working group, but
Doesn't
we're only allowed to have 2
Mhm.
designated.
Right, we wouldn't.
But that's not
designate them
required.
right here.
Let me
We can
see.
see if you're accepted first, right?
The application needs to have 2 names on it for the,
That's true, yeah. They want the 2 people designated.
how to apply, letter of interest, answer 4 questions, names and positions of 2 municipal officers. Eligible officers include mayors, city councils, select board members, town managers, and administrators, clerks. And it's due by the end of August.
I would still recommend that we,
I'd make a motion to go on with this and recommend Bill and Sue.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to have the town of Brandon submit an application to the VLCT to participate in their welcoming and engaging communities cohort, and to designate Sue Gage and Bill Moore as the town's municipal officials who will be participating in the cohort, is how the league describes it. Is there discussion? We've had a little bit, but is there further discussion?
Do we need alternates or anything like that, or just?
It does not indicate alternates. It says that the towns will be notified whether they were selected by September 22nd. The first meeting is in person on October 7th, and then they're going to have a series of meetings, which I believe are going to be remote after the first meeting. Are you thinking that you want a select board member on it, though? Is that where you're coming from?
I certainly have been following this issue along and went through some trainings and feel like it would be helpful for me to be involved. And so that's why I expressed an interest. But Sue and Bill are good people, and I'm sure they'll do a good job as well.
In a technical kind of way, are we confident about Bill's eligibility based on what they describe eligibility criteria? Yeah? And what's he fall under then?
for elected, town moderator.
I don't think it says elected. Public input, public comment?
Administration?
So it says, what I see from the league is something that they have on their website that says, eligible officials who can enroll in the cohort include members of a municipality's legislative body, which would be the select board, a city or town manager or town administrator, a mayor or a clerk.
Yeah, town administrator account, wouldn't it?
One of the cohort must not be on the ballot in March 2023.
The only problem with that, Dave, is that he's on the ballot every year. I think he would fall under town administration.
Well, no, it's town manager, town administrator, a lot of towns have administrators.
Oh, okay. But didn't it say administration?
I can do it if I want, it doesn't matter. I think we're
Was
just
that
looking,
administrator or was that administration?
Administrator.
Administrator.
I think we're looking at that folks on the DEI boards might be the ones that should represent the towns.
Other thoughts? So the motion on the floor is to make the application and to designate the town clerk, Sue Gage, and the Recreation and Economic Development Director, Bill Moore, as the town's representative. That's the motion on the floor. Any other discussion? We're ready to vote on the motion? If so, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 4-0. Perfect. Thank you. So, you checked in with Bill and Sue before offering their names, and they're ready to do this?
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Would you thank them for the board
Absolutely.
for doing this? Okay, item 5 is a bond anticipation note with some USDA stuff, and this is about the wastewater treatment plant
This is a
upgrades.
pretty simple one, there's
Yeah.
more paperwork than probably discussion. So we had to increase our line of credit for the wastewater treatment plant because it had to reflect what we were actually borrowing for construction for the whole thing. So that's all that this is, so we had to increase by, what, $2.7 million for line of credit.
Okay, so this is a technical kind of adjustment just to
Yeah.
fulfill the requirements of the granting agency.
Correct.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to the line we did for 76.
All right. Okay, what's the pleasure of the board on this bond anticipation note?
Make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Motion and a second, is there any discussion from the board? Any public comment on the bond anticipation note? This is about the wastewater treatment plant upgrade that was approved by the voters. If not, all in favor of approving the bond anticipation note increase to $3,780,000 per USDA requirements, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. And then further on the wastewater treatment plant upgrade, there's a letter of authorization that's been drafted, authorizing payment so that we can meet, what do they call it, prompt pay or something like that, Dave? Yeah,
Yep.
prompt pay, for the invoices and pay requisitions that will come as part of that wastewater treatment facility upgrade.
So this is the same thing, segment 6, we did for Park Street. Prompt pay, expect to meet federal guidelines to pay within, I think it's 12 days.
It's quicker than between board meetings would
Correct.
would permit. And when it says the engineers are gonna review and sign off, that's, who are the construction engineers?
Aldrich and Elliott.
Aldrich and Elliott.
It's the same process we've done, so they review them, they send them to me, I review them, we give them to Jackie. Jackie reviews them, then we send them to the state, we cut the check and send them to the state.
And then they do come to us as a separate,
The whole packet comes to you guys at the, the next meeting, and some of them will probably fall within the meeting days too, so we had that happen a couple times in 76.
what's the pleasure of the board on this process?
Need to approve
Yeah, make a motion to approve it.
Motion,
Good.
that. Second?
second? Any discussion or public input on approval of the process similar to the one that was used for Park Street and Segment 6 to ensure that the vendors are paid in a timely manner because the select board meets less than timely?
I'm kind of surprised, because most of the time I've heard 30 days is rapid payment. 12 days is you don't even have time to watch the cement dry.
So the reason behind it, from what I learned through segment 6, was that subcontractors needed to get paid. And then plus it falls under Davis-Bacon wages, so there's a lot of federal guidelines for this that they want to make sure, because they do actually audit the contractors' pay recs to make sure that they're paying the subs in a decent amount of time, so.
Okay, thanks.
Fair question, good answer. Other discussion? If not, we're ready to vote. All in favor of authorizing the wastewater treatment project to be paid using federal prompt pay in the manner outlined in the letter before us, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Item 7 is the warrant of bills for the current year.
I'll make a motion to approve the warrant, $198,425.13.
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any questions on any of the invoices that appear on the warrant? Any public comment on the bills? All in favor of approval of the warrant as prepared, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's 4-0. So all we have left, is something big, big letters. Notice of road closure on the Arnold District Road. This is a particular interest to me, Mr. Atherton.
We gotta get a box culvert put in, so.
Yeah,
Actually,
2 by 12 planks on the upstream
yeah, I'm sure
side.
OSHA would love
They'll be
that.
very happy.
So
So the Arnold
Matt
District
actually
Road-
saw it before you guys, so just an FYI.
Who's that?
Matt got to see it before you did.
What's the notice or the
Oh,
culvert?
yeah. All over it.
And
The Arnold District Road, this is for the benefit of those not privy to this yet. This is important. The Arnold District Road will be closed to through traffic beginning Monday, September 5th for the installation of a box culvert over the Arnold Brook. The road will be closed at the intersection of Adams Road to approximately 500 feet north of said intersection. Vehicles are to use Cram Road in Leicester as the detour. Anticipated completion date is September 30th, at which time the road will be reopened.
So I've sent notices out to all the landowners from Adams Road North. Sent letters to Leicester and Whiting, so they're aware of it. Leicester's fine with us using Cram Road as a detour road, so.
Okay.
And I know the neighbors on both sides of the culvert are extremely happy that we're replacing it, so.
We're going to smooth out the road a little bit there.
Well, we've got the paving grant to do, from there to the town line probably next spring, so we want to do, cross culverts and ditching there, so, yeah, the road will be pretty new by this time next year, fairly new.
Any questions on that? Okay, another exciting, how is it funded?
This is a V-Trans Class 2 Structures grant, and then our match is, I think, coming from local option, according to my chart that we went through.
Right. So 2 non-property tax funding mechanisms, the local option tax for the local match, and then a V-Trans grant that the town manager secured. Thank you for doing that. So the board has an executive session on the agenda, so before we do that, are there any announcements for the good of the community? Any suggestions for anything of that nature?
The letter,
Okay, if not, we thank you for attending, and at 7:25, the board stands